welcome to the deep dive. I want you to picture this for a second.
Okay.
You've got that fresh coffee, the monitor's got that low hum, and then it just happens. You become untouchable.
You're talking about that state of flow.
Exactly. That incredible state where the code just pours out of you, the logic all snaps into place, and that complex problem you were stuck on, it just melts away.
Right, the zone,
Yeah.
where time just sort of disappears. For most people, though, getting there is all about luck or maybe, a dangerous amount of caffeine.
And we think that's ridiculous. What if you could turn that sporadic luck into a daily thing, a reliable reality?
That's the mission.
It is. Because, let's be honest, in 2025, with AI getting smarter by the minute and new frameworks popping up constantly, you can't afford not to learn fast and operate at peak efficiency.
Yeah.
It's the foundation for success now.
Oh, absolutely. The demands are they're so much higher. You need mastery. You need deep retention. You can't spend months learning a concept just to forget it 6 weeks later.
And this isn't some cheap motivation talk. This is about actually hacking your brain, using science to optimize how you learn and how you code. We've looked at how the top performers do it.
So for you, listening right now, we have 3 main goals in this deep dive. First, we're going to unpack how your brain actually learns.
And why all-nighters are such an epic failure.
Exactly. Second, we'll lay out the practical steps to program like a real expert using tools like AI without, becoming totally dependent on them.
And finally, the big one.
We're going to break down the precise conditions you need to trigger that 500% productivity flow state whenever you need it.
Okay, let's get into it. The first myth we have to just completely destroy.
The big one.
The idea that more hours equals better learning. Why is studying for 8 hours straight before a deadline? Why does that feel like it works? But in the long run, it's a total disaster for remembering anything.
Because you're confusing memorization with actual learning. When you cram, you're just keeping that info active in your short-term working memory. Your brain thinks, okay, this is important for right now, but it never gets the signal to move that data into permanent storage. That happens, for the most part, when you rest, during sleep.
So if cramming is out, what's the gold standard? What's the scientifically proven way to make knowledge stick?
That would be it's really the undisputed champion of all cognitive techniques, spaced repetition.
Okay.
It just means you review material at increasing intervals.
So not just every day.
No, that's the key. You review it today, then tomorrow, then maybe you wait 3 days, then a week. The timing is absolutely critical.
And the evidence for this is pretty overwhelming, right?
It's massive. We're talking about a huge meta-analysis, decades of research, all showing that this method can double, sometimes even triple your long-term retention compared to just, cramming it all in at once.
And what's happening in the brain? Why does waiting work better?
You're basically leveraging what we call controlled forgetting. Just as you're about to forget something, say a tricky database concept, you force yourself to retrieve it. That struggle sends a powerful signal to your brain that this memory trace is important. It reinforces the neural connection way, way more strongly than if the answer was easy to recall.
Okay, that sounds great in theory, but let's get practical. For someone listening who's already drowning in documentation, setting up a system like Anki or RemNode, it can feel like a lot of extra work.
It can, and that's a fair point. But it's about consistency, not intensity. You don't need hours. You just need 10 minutes every morning.
Just 10 minutes.
10 minutes. The act of creating the flashcards itself, like what is a closure in JavaScript, or what's the real difference between a mutex and a semaphore, that's the first step of learning. You're cementing the fundamentals to save yourself days of debugging later.
Fantastic. So technique 1 is spaced repetition. What's the second key?
The second is retrieval practice.
This is about actively testing yourself, not just passively rereading.
Exactly. Rereading your notes gives you this illusion of competence. It feels familiar, so you think you know it.
But you don't really.
Not until you close the book, turn away from the screen, and try to explain the concept out loud. If you can explain the entire life cycle of a React component to your cat without looking, then you know it.
And the research backs this up. It improves retention by something like 50% more than just reading.
It forces your brain to do the work. And then there's a third technique, interleaving.
So instead of drilling one topic all week,
you mix it up. You might spend an hour on Docker configuration, then switch to Python API development, then do a bit on unit testing strategy.
Why does that help? It sounds like it would just divide your focus.
It seems counterintuitive, but it actually trains your brain to differentiate. By switching contexts, you learn to pick the right tool for the right problem, which is what the real world is like. Problems don't come in neat little chapters.
Right.
It's been shown to significantly speed up your real-world problem-solving skills.
And one last hack before we move on. Sleep.
Aha! Yes. The ultimate learning tool. Studying right before you go to sleep, or with about a 12-hour gap between sessions, massively accelerates memory consolidation.
Your brain is literally organizing the day's data while you're sleeping.
Rest is part of the work, don't ever forget that.
Okay, so that's how we learn smarter. Now let's talk about how we apply that to actually writing code. How do we move from, well, it works on my machine, to writing clean, scalable, professional code?
Well, all that stuff we just talked about, spaced repetition, retrieval, it applies directly here. Every time you solve a complex bug, you're engaging in high-level retrieval practice. You're pulling that deep knowledge back up.
And that requires something called deliberate practice. This isn't just about putting in the hours, is it?
Not at all. It's about coding with intense focus and intention. The research from Anders Ericsson is clear on this.
The expert on experts.
Right. And he found two key components. You need immediate feedback, and the task has to be set just above your current skill level. You have to be stretching, always.
Which is exactly why platforms like LeetCode or Code Wars are so powerful.
Precisely. They give you that instant feedback loop. You know immediately if your solution works or not. If you solve, say, 150 to 200 quality problems on those platforms, your algorithmic thinking will be on a completely different level.
And it's not just about solo practice. There are also collaboration superpowers.
Code reviews and pair programming. They should be non-negotiable for any serious team.
Why code reviews?
Because reviewing someone else's code forces you to think about edge cases and maintainability in a way you might not with your own work. Studies show it improves your own code quality by 20 to 30%.
And pair programming is like a real-time code review.
It's the ultimate bug prevention machine. Two sets of eyes catch design flaws and simple typos instantly.
Okay, we have to talk about the elephant in the room for 2025 development.
AI integration.
Copilot, Cursor, Devon, all these tools. How do we use them without losing our own skills?
Look, AI is the most powerful accelerator we've ever had. You should absolutely use it for boilerplate, for writing documentation, for suggesting unit tests.
It frees up your brain.
But it doesn't free up your responsibility. The biggest risk is dependency. If you can't understand, debug, and refactor the code the AI generates, you're not an asset, you're a liability. You have to maintain ownership.
So it handles the repetitive stuff, letting us focus on the hard parts like architecture. To manage that, we need structure. Things like test-driven development.
Yes. Test-driven development, or TDD, this is where you write the failing test before you write any of the actual code.
It seems backwards to some people.
But it forces clarity. It guarantees that every single line of code you write has a clear purpose. And it creates a safety net, especially when you're using AI-generated code that needs to be verified.
And TDD makes the whole CI/CD pipeline so much more valuable.
Exactly. Your continuous integration and deployment pipeline becomes this powerful, immediate feedback system. If the build breaks, you know exactly why, and you can fix it fast. That whole stack TDD, CI/CD, constant refactoring, that's what a high-velocity team looks like.
Okay, but to maintain that level of focus for TDD or deep refactoring, you need a way to manage your time.
You do. And that's where the Pomodoro technique comes in, but adapted for coding.
The little tomato timer.
That's the one. And meta-analyses confirm it works. The idea is to work in focused, timed bursts.
What's the ideal structure for a developer?
I'd recommend 25 to 50 minutes of deep, uninterrupted coding. No Slack, no email, just pure focus.
Yeah.
Then you take a mandatory 5 to 10-minute break, get up, walk away from the screen, let your brain reset. That disciplined rest is just as important as the focused work.
And that kind of disciplined focus is the perfect bridge to our final segment. Mastering flow, that state where you feel like a superhero.
It really is. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the psychologist who defined it, described it as this state where the challenge perfectly meets your skill level. You're so absorbed you lose track of time and your productivity just skyrockets.
Let's talk about that number. The McKinsey study that says executives in a flow state are 500% more productive. That just sounds unbelievable. Does that really apply to deep technical work?
It does, but we have to be clear about what it means. For a developer, that 500% spike means you solve a problem in 1 hour that would normally take you an entire day of distracted, fragmented work.
It's about compressing time.
Exactly. It's a massive reduction in friction and errors. If you can tap into that regularly, you will leapfrog your peers. It's that simple.
But it's not luck. There are specific conditions you need to trigger it, right? 3 of them.
Right. Condition 1 is the challenge versus skill balance. The task has to be hard enough to keep you engaged, but not so hard that it causes anxiety. Too easy, you get bored. Too hard, you get stressed. Flow is right in that sweet spot.
That's why debugging a really thorny but solvable bug can trigger it.
Perfect example. Condition 2 is clarity and feedback. You need a crystal clear goal, and you need immediate feedback on your progress.
It's like solving a coding kata.
A kata is a phenomenal trigger. The goal is clear, and the tests give you instant feedback. Did I pass or fail? It's a perfect flow loop.
And the third condition is probably the hardest one for most of us.
Oh yeah, distraction minimization. This requires absolute ruthless discipline. Do not disturb mode on everything. Noise-canceling headphones. A ritual, like putting on a specific playlist. Flow is fragile. One Slack notification can shatter the whole state.
So the pro strategy here is don't start your day with email.
Please don't. Start your day with the task that has the highest potential for flow. Tackle that hard architectural problem or a challenging kata in your very first Pomodoro.
Start with a win.
Start with a win. If you achieve flow first thing in the morning, that feeling of competence and momentum will carry you through all the boring stuff you have to do later.
Wow. Okay, so we've gone from the neuroscience of learning all the way to the trigger points for 500% productivity.
And the synthesis is pretty clear, I think.
Yeah.
Success in this field doesn't belong to the people who just work the longest hours. It belongs to the smartest learners and the most focused implementers.
It's a method, not magic.
It really is. You're using science to learn frameworks in days instead of weeks, and to write code you're actually proud of.
And once you really experience genuine flow, that feeling of mastery, you won't want to go back. It's addictive.
Right. So we don't want you to just listen to this and then forget it. We have 3 actionable challenges for you.
Okay, here's your mission. First, download Anki or a similar app and create 20 flashcards on whatever topic is giving you trouble right now. Do it today.
Second, commit to 3 pure, distraction-free flow Pomodoro sessions tomorrow. Shut down Slack, turn off notifications, and protect that time like it's gold.
And third, the pro-level challenge. Solve 5 problems on Leak Code or Code Wars. But then, and this is the important part, explain the solution out loud, step by step, as if to a colleague. Retrieve the why, not just the what.
If you do those 3 things, I guarantee you will feel a fundamental shift in your confidence and your capability by the end of this week.
We want to hear how it goes. Thank you so much for diving deep with us today.
We really hope these tools help you just dominate in this digital age.
And we'll leave you with one final thought to mull over. It builds on what we said about AI. AI won't steal your job if you learn to use it not as a replacement for your own thinking, but as an amplifier for your expertise.
Join us next time when we get into that tough conversation about AI, job security, and what it really means to be indispensable. Until then, keep flowing and keep learning.